Welcome back, my friends. Today we're going to be talking about the kings of tough when it comes to knife making steels. Today in front of you, you see a Rex T15 Spyderco Mule. That is the 34. We got the Rex 45 in the Spyderco PM2 Copper and the Rex 76 in the Mule. It doesn't have the handle. So why are they sitting out here if we're talking about tough? Well, they're sitting out here so I can make my argument about what a super steel is. All these are super steels and nobody would argue that. Nobody would argue, like nobody's going to tell you that Rex 76 is not a super steel. And for good reason, man. It's an edge retention monster. But when it comes to toughness, it's on the low end of the spectrum. In fact, it's 440C outshines Rex 76 and all these other Rexes when it comes to toughness, even 121, especially 121. But toughness, it just doesn't belong in a toughness video. So why are they sitting out here? Well, because they're super steels, right? And they're super steels because of edge retention. That's it. Because they're not corrosion resistant. Every one of them will patina. They are all high alloy carbon steels. That's what they are. They're non-stainless steels. So they don't have any corrosion resistance. I mean, the corrosion resistance is very minute. It doesn't deserve a conversation when it comes to corrosion resistance. What about ease of sharpening? No, not the easiest knives to sharpen. 440C is absolutely better, beats all these knives when it comes to ease of sharpening. You can absolutely sharpen 440C easier. And toughness, so toughness, corrosion resistance, and ease of sharpening, all these knives fail. Every single one of them fail. These are the weakest knives in the industry for toughness. Now, I love my Rex steels. Why do I love them? Because of edge retention. You don't have to sharpen them that often. I don't carry them that often. When I do, they're sharp. But that is the only area in which these knives shine, yet they are still super steels. Keep that in mind as we go forward when we start talking about these super steels of tough, because they only shine in one area, and that's being tough. So without further ado, let's get to it. So when people start talking about tough steels, obviously we're going to see some 3V. This is a Jed Hornby Kanzaki, and it is in 3V. 3V is a very tough steel. Nothing wrong with 3V at all. We'll see AEBL. This is a DS Custom Lycos, DS Custom Lycos. It's in AEBL, and it's a very, very, very great knife. It sells for about $300, and it's got AEBL, and I wouldn't complain about the price at all. Some people would. Some people will tell you if it's in AEBL and it's $300, it's not worth it. This knife, I'll pay it every day. If I lose this knife, I'll buy another one. This is Nitro V. This is a Shane Gable's knife. One of his very, very first. He's, don't look at the knife and judge it or anything. He's gotten much better. I like it. I like it personally. He's offered to replace. He's like, man, I do knives much better now. I can replace that. And I'm like, no, I want this one. This is the one I want. So Nitro V is another stainless steel that comes up often when we're talking about toughness. And it is, for good reason, it's a great tough steel. There's nothing wrong with Nitro V. And this is 14C28. And out of these steels, you're going to see AEBL, Nitro V, 14C28 compared quite often. They're actually very similar in composition. All three of them are tough. All of them have a place in toughness conversations when we're talking about knives, especially if stainless is desired. But if it's not desired, then let's talk about the three toughest steels ever made to make a knife out of. Okay, sorry, I just have a blank here for 8670, and we'll talk about that. But 8670 is a very inexpensive steel that we use, and it's one of the toughest alloys. It's a low alloy carbon steel. It's a nickel alloy as well, just like 15N20 over here. 15N20 is a nickel carbide. So what you see in front of you right now is 15N20 Raptora. These are my models. This is what the grind will look like. This is what it looked like at the time. And anyway, that's a higher grind. I don't know. We'll leave that all up to Dave. Dave is going to be doing all the grinds. We got 5160, which is a low alloy carbon steel. So is 15N20, by the way. And this is 8670, and I don't actually have a knife right now in 8670, but this is just a little piece that I can make a pry bar out of. In fact, I did make a pry bar out of it. 1 second. Okay, so this is 8670. It was cut out of a little bitty piece like this, you know, and I just machined it down, ground it down, and I use it as a pry bar. It stays on my key ring. I've never put any oil on it, man. This was just like a little test thing. We said the hole was off center a little bit, but my dog is knocking. 1 second. Okay, so yeah, 8670. You see, I've took the stock down quite a bit, but I don't oil this thing. It stays in my pocket. It gets wet in the rain, and yeah, man, corrosion is not one of its strong points. So I did force a patina on it, much like I forced patina on this 5160 knife here. That looks like rust. It's not. It's a stain for sure, but it's not rust. But anyway, yeah, 8670 is a nickel alloy carbon steel. So is 15N20. 5160 is not a nickel alloy steel, but it's still brought up in lots of conversations when we're talking about tough. A lot of great competition choppers that cost $1,000 are made out of 5160, and there's good reason for that, because it's a really, really tough steel. They make leaf springs out of it. 15N20 is saw blades, you know, like if it's a bandsaw blade, there all kinds of different saw blades are made out of 15N20. And it's a very inexpensive steel. In fact, all three of these steels are very inexpensive in comparison to, like, saying, you know, like even Nitro V. You know, Nitro V costs more. We could make several knives out of 15N20 or any of these other steels before we can make one out of Nitro V. But cost isn't what we are talking about today. We're talking about steels that perform in a specific area, and that specific area is toughness. So, like, without further ado, let's just look at some charts from Knife Steel Nerds. Everybody likes charts, right? One thing I want to note is how interesting it is that we start looking at these charts. We pulled these right off of Knife Steel Nerds. I was talking about the toughness of 8670 is a 10, edge retention is a 1.5, corrosion resistance is 0. And again, I mean, that's what my, you know, this is what this is made out of. It's got a little bit of corrosion resistance. I mean, it's not a 0. Like, I don't know what it is, but I can tell you it's not a 0. But even compared to his Apex Ultra, this is a Larrin Thomas steel. It's an easy forgeable steel. It's like the ultimate forgeable steel, according to him. You got a 5.5 out of toughness, so like 8670 is twice as tough. And then edge retention is 4 versus a 1.5. Neither one of these are great. You know, like neither one of them would shine in edge retention, and neither one of them, you know, like he's got his Apex Ultra at 0.5, which doesn't really, you know, neither one of these steels are going to shine when it comes to corrosion resistance. In fact, we could actually say Apex Ultra really doesn't shine at toughness either. I mean, there's a lot of steels that are tougher than Apex Ultra. 01. Oh, no. Not on this list. Well, 1084. 1084 is almost twice as tough as it. Or, you know, it's a good 30%. Let's see, 14C28, we got 9 on toughness. Edge retention is a 3, and corrosion resistance 8.5. So, I mean, it's really, you don't want to talk about 14C28 being a super steel. 14C28 is a super steel, like in a couple of different categories, and it's very easy to sharpen as well. Just scrolling. So here we got Nitro V is 7.5. So we'll see that AEBL is a 9, Nitro V is a 7.5, and 14C28 right back up here to the top is 9. So on this, according to this chart, we have 14C28 being tougher than AEBL, or just as tough as AEBL. But there's some charts that he has on his website which doesn't reflect that, and we'll go over that in a second. 14C28 edge retention 3. We got AEBL 3, Nitro V is 3. So like Nitro V, according to this chart, is weaker than 14C28 and AEBL, and Nitro V it carries the same edge. And the corrosion resistance is a little worse than 14C28 at 7 versus AEBL's at 7, so it's exactly the same there. But 14C28 again shines at 8.5. Now these are just all stainless steels, but like this is these charts I pulled up are from the toughest. You know, like this is a toughness chart. Like we were focused on toughness on this chart, not anything else. And 15 and 20 just doesn't even show up. Again, man, we're going to take this low alloy steel chart here, and we're going to focus on that for a second. So you got 8670 and 5160 up there at the top. This is toughness in foot-pounds. He does test on them. I don't know if he snaps them, breaks them. I'm not entirely sure what he's doing with the samples, but I haven't watched any of those videos. We're just going by, you know, the chart and the numbers he's produced. I do trust his numbers. I will say ADCRV2 is not bad, but it's registering right at a 36 or a 37 on foot-pounds. It's right above the 35 foot-pounds mark. Got 5160 up here is at the 45 or the 44.5 in that blue dot, and that's with a HRC of 59 or 59, maybe closer to 60, 59.5 maybe, you know, because it's in between 59 and 61, but it's not like dead center. So 59.5 at 5160, you got a 44, and you take this. I guess you know, I'm going to call that a 60. We'll call that a 60 and call this a 60.5. You got 8670, which is what this stuff's made out of. You got 50.1 or 51 or so on the toughness chart, and that is going to be again that 60 to 61, 60, you know, HRC. But yeah, again, we don't see. There's 52-100. You can compare it to that. We're looking at 22.5, and it's going to be, I'm sorry, it's 22.5 foot-pounds toughness at 61.5, but at 61, it's closer to 30. It's like 27. So if you wanted to just use that as an example, 01 we see here, it's 15. 1095. It just, you know, it doesn't belong in a toughness conversation, but you hear it a lot, you know, like tops knives. They're really tough. I'm not here to shit on tops for using 1095. What I'm saying is like 1095, you know, it may shine in some other areas. You know, it is more corrosion resistance than either one of these two steels, but toughness isn't a conversation it should be found in. Neither is Apex Ultra, Crew Forge. All these are pretty horrendous when it comes to toughness. Really, our bench line is about right here. So 1094 is tougher. L6 is another steel that is in the same family as 8670 and 15 and 20, and it's fallen somewhere around. Well, where's the dot for? Okay. I guess this is the dots. So at 61, it's around 20, but at 57.5 or 58, it's around 45. So just those few points makes a big difference in L6 when it comes to toughness. So it's one of those steels you're not going to be able to take it up to 61 and be able to retain all that edge retention. Okay, so another chart where we'll see 3V, which showed you the Hornbeak knife earlier in 3V. We're looking at HRC of 59. We're looking at about 40 foot-pounds, and that's plenty tough. I mean, that's tougher than most people are going to need anything for anyway, if we're being honest. You know, like if you want to compare that to like D2 down here, D2 is not, you know, that's 5 pounds. So we take it up to 63.5, man. I mean, you're looking at a very chippy steel. Like, I mean, it should, you know, like it should reflect as a very chippy steel. Rex 45, Rex 76, Maximate, Z Max, 10V, 15V, all tell us a very similar story. T15 right down here is about 8, you know, like, so I guess T15 is a little stronger than Rex 76, a little stronger than Rex 45, a little stronger than 10V. So if we're talking about toughness, T15 will win out on all of those, but CPM D2 will beat everything to the right of this. And a Rex 121, we'll see way down here, like, what is that, 2.5 foot-pounds? I'm not sure. Anyway, these aren't tough steels. You know, like these steels don't belong really in a conversation of tough steels, with the exception of 3V and A8 mod, whatever that is, Z-Tough, of course, Z-Tough at 45. So, you know, like, that's not bad either. And 4V, where's 4V? 4V should be on that chart, I would think. There's CPM M4 way down here. I don't know. Okay, we got AEBL. is toughness. This is stainless steels. It's showing at 60.5 that AEBL is somewhere around the 37 mark. 420HC outshines everything on this map here, in terms of toughness, not toughness at a Rockwell. So like, at 420HC at 57.5, you got LC200N, very close to MagnaCut. Where is MagnaCut? Is MagnaCut on this list? It is MagnaCut right here. People talk about MagnaCut being an extremely tough steel. We're looking at 16 foot-pounds of whatever. And down here at 65 HRC, we're looking at 10. So, I mean, even at 65 HRC, MagnaCut is holding its toughness better than a lot of other stuff, especially, there's S60V, S90V, VG10, M398, S45VN, S30, 154. All these steels that we're really familiar with, MagnaCut does outshine those steels in toughness. So, like, does it deserve some respect? Yeah, of course. With 14C28 up here at 60.5, we're looking at 30 foot-pounds of whatever. 19C27, I've never heard of it. I'm going to check that out. Okay, let's find us a chart with 15 and 20 actually on it. While it doesn't actually appear that I have printed out a chart with 15 and 20 actually on it, if you go to Knife Steel Nerds and you just type in 15 and 20 toughness chart, you'll see that the reason why 15 and 20 is not on this chart right here is because it's above the 55 mark. It's around 57, 58, something like that, making 15 and 20 the strongest steel ever to exist. I'm just using these charts as a reference point. Obviously, you can go back and look those charts up yourself if you want to, but 15 and 20 is the strongest steel when it comes to toughness that exists for making knives and tools. So, like, a lot of your cutting materials. So this is a tool steel. It's designed to cut steel. A tool steel is either designed to shape steel, press steel, bend steel, or cut steel. 15 and 20 is designed to cut steel. So it is a tool steel, 15 and 20. It's very old. I think it's coming up on its 80th birthday. When 14C28 was was compounded by Sandvik. This is a Bowler steel, by the way. Bowler, Autohome, is actually Autohome. Autohome come out with 15 and 20. It took a Japanese, a Swedish, and a German scientist got their heads together, and they were, the goal was to create the toughest steel ever. So 15 and 20 is the toughest. It is the toughest steel ever. It's tougher than 8670 by just a few points. It's not huge. It's not a huge margin or anything. When 14C28 come out, they were trying to make a stainless version of 15 and 20. I think they did a good job. I love 14C28. This is an old knockout, by the way. But when it comes to toughness, it just outshines everything in its class. So 15 and 20, even though I can't prove it with the charts, you can go back and do your own references there. You shouldn't be like believing everything anybody says anyway, especially on the internet. Okay, so we got 15 and 20 is top notch. That is going to be the toughest steel that you can buy to make knives out of. Second will be 8670. This is my pry-bar piece, and last but not least, we're just going to judge the top three. We're going to be looking at 5160. So 5160 will come in third place, 15 and 20, and 8670. Now for stainless steels, well, I don't have any 4V here, and I'm actually not that familiar with the steel, so I don't want to judge the steel, because I may be wrong. But out of the steels that I have in front of me, I'm gonna say that ABL is the toughest steel in the stainless margin. And obviously, we saw some charts that put 14C28 right up there with it. Some charts on the same website actually put it above it. All that stuff gets confusing. But we'll kind of group these together, and then we'll talk about the 3V family, which my wife's Hanzaki, is right here. When I say 3V family, you got the 3V and you also have the 4Vs. I believe that 3V is tougher than Nitro V, and I believe it's tougher than 14C28, and I think it's right there with AEBL. So whether you're in the school of thought as you group all these into the same family, or you want to separate them out, 3V is going to be one of those steels that comes up in toughness conversations, and for good reason. So let's just write these down. Okay, there they are, man. We're going to have the 15 and 20 on top, 8670, 5160. These are all carbon steels, very inexpensive. We get into the stainless or the semi-stainless or the whatever. So you got ABL 14628 and then Nitro V. You got the 3V and the 4V. These are really more semi-stainless, but they're not exactly high carbon. I mean, they're not in the same category as the low alloy carbon steels. These are all low alloy carbon steels. Okay, so those are your super steels, man. You like it or not, you know, your mama told you something different. You saw another YouTuber say something about these all being junk. You know, like, it doesn't matter what they say. The proof is in the pudding. You know, if we can call, again, a Rex steel a super steel because it shines in edge retention, and that's the only place it shines because the corrosion resistance is shit. The sharpenability is shit. I'm not saying it can't be sharpened, and I'm not going to say it's going to rust to death. What I'm saying is, like, compared to other stuff, if we just benchmark it and compare it to 440C, then if this is a super steel because it has better edge retention than 440C, and much better edge retention than 440C, by the way, and that's because of the cobalt and the tungsten. But if this is a super steel and it sucks at everything else besides edge retention, then it's only shining in one area. The truth can be said about everything else on this list. None of these are edge retention monsters. They're all really easy to sharpen. And they're all tough. They're all super tough. These are the 5 toughest steels that, you know, ever made. So, like, yeah, and toughness super steels, this is it. This is what you're looking at. This is what you got to work with. And did I miss anything? Did I leave anything out? Let me know, because that's what these videos are for. You know, I like to learn off of them from the comments just as much as you guys come here to learn from them for reviewing. But these are the toughest steels that you can make knives out of. They only really are outshined in 440C by corrosion resistance, because all of these steels can hold an edge as easy as 440C. All of these steels are tougher than 440C. None of these steels are as corrosion resistant as 440C. And what's the other one? The ease of sharpening, toughness. Oh, the toughness. They're all tougher than 440C. They're all tougher, and they all sharpen easier. They all fail to 440C, being the benchmark when it comes to corrosion resistance. And that's it. Because the edge retention on these are just as good as 440C as well. Just as good, if not better. So, is this a super steel? Are your Rex steels super steels? If they are, and I know they're expensive. They're super duper expensive. And none of these really are. None of these are super expensive, man. 3V, you get a sheet of that for about $2,500. A sheet of 15 and 20, $600. But Rec 76, a sheet of that, oh my God, like, I don't even want to know. You know, first and foremost, man, I've never found a place where I can buy a Rec 76 from a, and this is T15, by the way. It's all pretty much the same stuff, but, you know, a Rec 76. I don't want to know what a sheet of Rec 76 cost. So I know as far as premium pricing goes, yeah, this is a super steel and none of these are. But when it comes to performance, and toughness being the performance that we're looking at today on this video, all of these are better, you know, than everything else on the market. You guys have a good one. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the flip side.